It comes in an envelope. That is the part that surprises people. After 18 months of certified translations and apostles and a birth certificate copied out of a parish register in a village nobody in your family has seen since 1954, the thing itself arrives in an ordinary envelope. And you open it standing up in a hallway, probably still holding your keys. And it says you are Croatian. Not that you are of Croatian descent, not that you have Croatian heritage, which is the phrase people reach out for when they want to be careful. It says you are a citizen of the Republic of Croatia. And it is true, and it is legally binding, and nobody can take it back. And then some weeks after that, you notice that you have put it in a drawer. Before anything else, I'm not an immigration lawyer. I do not do citizenship applications, and nothing I say in this video is legal advice. If you are applying, get somebody qualified. What I can tell you is what changed and what it means, because that part is not legal. It is human. Croatian law has a provision, Article 11, for emigrants and their descendants. And on the 1st of January 2020, two things about it changed. The language and culture examination was removed. Descendants of immigrants are no longer tested on Croatian. And the generational limit was removed as well. Grandparent, great-grandparent, further back than that. There's no cutoff in the law. The only real limit is whether you can produce an unbroken chain of paper, birth certificate to birth certificate, all the way to the person who left. There are conditions, and I'm not going to walk through them badly. The main one is that your ancestor had to have left Croatia before the 8th of October, 1991. If they moved somewhere inside the old Yugoslavia, then the descent route closes. So Croatia asked you for your grandmother's birth certificate, and it didn't ask you to say her name in her own language. Now, I want to be careful here because I think that decision was correct, and I do not want to be misheard. A language test would have published people for a loss that they didn't cause. Nobody in this audience decided to stop speaking Croatian. That decision was made above you, usually under pressure, usually by somebody who thought they were being kind. A state that scatters its people across 4 continents and then examines their grandchildren on the accusative case has got the moral arithmetic backwards. So Croatia decided correctly that you do not have to earn your way back into something that was taken from your family. And the test being gone doesn't mean the gap is gone. It means the gap is no longer anybody's official business. So here's what I've watched happen again and again in the messages that reached me. The first trip after the citizenship comes through is usually very different. And you know it before you land. And there's a moment at the airport at passport control where you go through the EU line for the first time in your life, and the officer looks at the document and then at you and waves you through in about 4 seconds. And something in your chest does something you were not prepared for. This is real. I'm not going to be clever about it. That moment is genuinely worth something. And then 4 days later, you're at the long table on somebody's terrace and you understand roughly a third of what is being said, and the conversation moves around you like water around a stone. Both of those things are the same week. And here's what I think actually happens, and I've never seen anyone name it. Before the passport, you had an explanation. You were a foreigner with Croatian roots. It was a bit sad, and it was completely understandable, and nobody expected anything else of you. The silence at the table had a reason, and the reason was that you were, technically, from somewhere else. Now, the document takes that explanation away. Now you're not a foreigner. Now it says so, in a drawer in your house. And the silence at the table is still exactly the same silence. And you no longer have anywhere to put it. This is why the passport can make it worse before it makes it better. It didn't create the gap. It removed the last comfortable story you had about the gap. So let me say another thing plainly, because I think some of you need to hear it in a flat voice from somebody who's not related to you. Nothing about this is your fault. And it's not your parents' fault either. There is research on this, on heritage speakers specifically, and it finds something I watched in my own students for years. Families who leave under pressure very often stop transmitting two things at the same time: the language and the story of why they left. The two go into the same silence together, which means the generation that comes after inherits a name, a face, a set of recipes, and a locked room. You didn't lock it. You were born on this side of the door. So what's the document actually for? It is worth having. I want to be clear about that. It is an EU passport. It opens work and study and residence across the Union. It's a real asset, and if you are eligible, you should absolutely pursue it. But I do not think that that is why most of you actually did it. I think a lot of you did it because somewhere in the process, somebody handed you a photocopy of a document with your great-grandfather's name on it in his own handwriting, and you sat in a car park and looked at it for longer than you meant to. The passport is administrative. What sent you looking for it was not. So here is what I would do if I were you this week. Take it out of the drawer, open it, and look at your own surname, printed by a state, spelled correctly with the diacritics on it. The mark over the letter that got flattened out on some form in Melbourne or Cleveland or Stuttgart 80 years ago and that nobody in your family has written since. And there it is. Somebody put it back. The passport did not make you Croatian. You already were Croatian. That was the entire legal basis of the application, and Croatia agreed with you. What it did was put a question in your hands that you can no longer put down. If you want to know where to begin with the language part, everything starts at talktimecro.com/start-here. And the link is under this video. Čuvajte mi se, ljudi.